Everyone, it's Dr. H here, your friendly war game guy at the Air Command and Staff College. And I am here to talk about how to read air pieces, specifically in a couple of parts on the air map. Not really the air map, on the displays to help you understand the air pieces and how they work. We'll get into a lot of the details and specifics in a minute in different videos, but for now we're going to just talk about how to read the pieces and how to read the displays and what you're going to be looking at in a couple of different places. So we're going to start with the air pieces themselves. I've got a few picked out here just to show a few things. Generally speaking, we're going to, much like the land units or any other units, right, we've got the top row of information, we've got a middle row of information, and then we've got a bottom row of information. So on the middle row of information, on the top row of information, we have letters up here in the corner. They could be A, they could be AS, they could be nothing, right? So A means all weather, right? So less affected by weather. Not completely unaffected by weather, but less affected by weather. Very few are not all-weather aircraft in this game. Mostly belong to the DPRK. Sorry, DPRK. S means it's stealthy. Stealthy aircraft are more difficult to engage, and both in air-to-air combat and more difficult to shoot at with SAMs. So they have advantages in that location. So if we look at the right-hand side, on the right-hand side of the silhouette, there's going to be a letter there. That is the range, right? S is short, M is medium, L is long, U is unlimited, but we won't be using unlimited, right? So unlimited comes from tanking. We'll talk about that when the time comes. You can modify this number again by allotting tankers to a particular flight to get them to where they need to go. We'll talk about tankers in due course. You'll see that this felon has a star. All that means is that it can be an optional unit. If you've been assigned, if it's part of your assigned forces, it's part of your assigned forces. So don't worry too much about the star. All right, so on the middle row, right, we have the unit type. That is a designation. In this case, we've got Sukhoi 57. Okay, we know that. Just above that, we have the Sukhoi 30s. Or if we go all the way over, we can see we have the Tu-22s. Right, so these are just designations where they are. The middle of it is a silhouette, right? So if you're good at your Vizrecki or need practice with the Vizrecki, this will help you. On the right-hand side of the silhouette, on the middle side is a number, -1, -2, 0, +1, +2. This is pilot skill. Remember, lower number is better, negative is better than positive. So you're going to be looking for pilot skill there. Pilot skill is a modifier to certain roles. We'll talk about which roles when the time comes, but know that generally speaking, lower numbers are better. So then the bottom row of numbers is the ratings for that unit. And they read air-to-air, close support, meaning CAS, strike. Higher numbers are better, more asterisks is better. So for air-to-air, the higher the number, the better. So we got a 5, awesome. 4, we got a 5 on the other one, awesome. Here we have this one in parentheses. This is only used for defensive purposes, right? Tu-22 can only fight defensively. Some of these rules require you to compare air-to-air values. And so for purposes of comparison, the Tu-22 has an air-to-air value of 1. It doesn't get to shoot. It's really bad at shooting air-to-air ordnance. Because it doesn't carry any. Also, you notice it's got an air-to-air value of 1 because it's a pretty bad dogfighter too, no matter how you slice it. So, right, so the number of asterisks is the number of additional steps it can fight in. We'll talk about this in a bit more detail when we get to air-to-air combat. But you have long range, standoff, and dogfight. If you have no asterisks, you only have ordnance to fight in dogfight. If you have 1 star, you have the ability to fight in standoff, and if you have 2 stars, you have the ability to fight in long range, standoff, and dogfight. And if you have 1 star, 1 asterisk, I should say, standoff and dogfight, right? So this is how we can put in some of the range advantage. On the strike number, star means you have standoff, which means you won't get shot at by AAA if you shoot if you conduct an attack, right? You've got JSOW or the Russian equivalent in glide bombs or any number of other standoff pieces of weaponry that you have. And so those will help you. So remember, top row, right, has letters. Letters can tell you if it's all weather, if it's stealthy, and then its range. We'll get into more range when we talk about range and tankers in a later video. Middle row, right, designator, silhouette, pilot quality. Pilot quality is a modifier of certain roles. Again, we'll talk about those roles when they pop up. Bottom row is the ratings of the unit. Higher numbers are better. So we've got air-to-air, we've got CAS, or close combat support, and we have strike. More asterisks is better, right? So 2 asterisks, long range, standoff, dogfight. 1 asterisk, standoff, dogfight. No asterisks, just dogfight. And those are the ranges in which it will conduct air-to-air combat, which again we're going to go into far more detail later. If numbers in parentheses, it's just used for comparison purposes. It doesn't get to actually shoot. Now let's talk a little bit about your track to tell you what's your status of your units, right? So a unit that is ready to conduct missions. So in the ready box, you can pick it up for a mission at the appropriate time. The mission may be strike, it may be close support, it may be air superiority. Again, we'll talk about that as we deal with each one in particular. But if you're in the box, you're ready to go. If you are flown, when you conduct a mission, you go to the flown box, and you just push yourself to the flown box. Aborted is a combat result. You can be told because of combat that you have aborted the mission, and then it goes into this box. You'll notice you have this nice arrow here, right? And that arrow tells you the chance at the end of the turn that it's going to go from aborted to the next box. Or if you are flying guys off of Guam, it might go into the recovered box. We'll talk about that in more detail if you have Guam in your scenario. So it goes into the flown box. Correction. So you've got this arrow, right? So you can see here, if you're based at NATO, if you roll a 2 through 9, you're going to go to the flown box if you're aborted. If you're going to roll a 0 to 1, you go to the ready box. Or you can spend supply points, in which case you skip the roll, but you spend the points to do it. This represents maintenance and the sort of things that are available. It's different for every location, so be sure to read the arrow when you do. Right, so this will help you keep track of your status of your planes and where they are, right? If they're based in Poland, they'll be over here. If they're based on NATO bases, they're over here. If they're based on carriers, they're over here on the carrier side of things. We'll get into a little bit more on JIFMEC with that when we talk about the JIFMEC in particular and how to read that. That's part of it there. Air superiority, right? We're going to keep track of the current air superiority. This is set during the air superiority step when you conduct air superiority missions. Good news, which is there. And then there's the AWACS advantage. Doing well in air superiority will push the AWACS advantage. AWACS advantage gives you an advantage in trying to gain air superiority, but also provides a modifier to a number of detection rolls. And again, you'll see each one of those in the box as it comes up. Generally speaking, it's a good idea to try to get air superiority, because it helps you with your detection and it helps you push the AWACS advantage. It does a number of good things for you. But everybody's going to want your airplanes. Welcome to life as the JFAC. So, this has been an overview of the air pieces. We'll talk about range and tanking in its own separate video. We'll talk about air-to-air combat and all that other stuff in its own separate video. But for now, that's how to read the air pieces, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for your time.